the striatum and in the dopaminergic system. But, of course, it's a much more difficult thing to do in the real world, and indeed in many laboratory experiments, because normally we don't just have a single choice that we take again and again repeatedly. Normally, in real life and in the laboratory, we might have to make a number of different choices. So our choices of one stimulus might be interleaved with our choices of a different stimulus. And it turns out that monkeys, and also in many situations, even humans, are prone to making fallacious associations, not just between the stimulus that actually led to the reward that they chose just now, not just this association here, but also making an erroneous association between stimuli that they might have chosen in previous trials, or indeed even with stimuli that they go on to choose in subsequent trials. They have some tendency to mix up what exactly should be given the credit for delivering the reward that they've received. So just to try and get this idea across, it's a slightly unusual idea, even though it actually has quite a long history. Let's imagine a series of choices of stimuli that might be made by the monkeys. So over a series of trials, they might pick a yellow triangle stimulus, then a blue circle, then another blue circle, and so on. And on some trials, they're going to receive a reward. And the associations that we'd be expecting them to make would be these ones here, between these stimuli and the rewards. But in addition, the animals are going to be also making these fallacious associations between stimuli that they chose in previous trials and even stimuli that they're going to choose on subsequent trials. So it seems as if they don't always assign the credit for a reward to the particular choice that they made just now, but instead they have some tendency to assign the credit for a reward to the whole history of choices that they've made recently. And this phenomenon is something that was noticed almost 80 years ago by Thorndike, who referred to it as the spread of effect of reward. The fact that a reward at one time doesn't just reinforce the choice that was made just then, but previous and subsequent choices as well. And what I'm going to argue is that in animals that have this lateral frontal lesion, their behaviour is dominated by Thorndike's spread of effect, because they aren't able to assign credit for a particular outcome to a particular choice, but they've retained this Thorndykean spread of effect, so they just have an average sense of what choices led to reward at any time. So here's some of the evidence for that. So what you can see here is that you can see a graph that's trying to summarise a prediction about what choice the monkeys are going to make on the next trial. So these, the whiteness of the squares here correspond to how influential different choices in the past and different rewards in the past are going to be on the next choice that the animal makes. So as we go across the x-axis here, we're looking back in time at the choice that was made just now, 2 trials ago, 3 trials ago, 4 trials ago, 5 trials ago. And as we go down this axis here, we're looking at the choices the animal made on recent trials, last trial, 2 trials ago, 3 trials ago, 4 trials ago, 5 trials ago. And here on the x-axis, we're looking at rewards received on recent trials. And what this bright white line here indicates is that the principal influence on the next choice that the animal makes is the conjunction of the choice history and the reward history. In other words, what choice was made just now and was it rewarded? What choice was made 2 trials ago and was it rewarded? What choice was made 3 trials ago and was it rewarded? So what the brightness of these squares is actually corresponding to, they're the regression coefficients from a logistic regression trying to predict the next choice that the animal is going to make. And it's the history of choices and outcomes that determines the next choice that the macaque is going to make. Those are control data, and here are data from an animal with an orbitofrontal lesion. And now you can see that bright diagonal has disappeared, but instead what we've got are relatively bright vertical lines, say here. And what that is telling us is that it's the conjunction of having received a reward just now and any of the choices that have been made recently that are going to determine the choice that the animal makes next. or it's going to be the choice that the animal made just now and the whole recent history of reward that's going to determine the